Hey guys, it's me Kevin, and welcome back to another A-League season. In this video, I'm going to be making my A-League ladder predictions and previewing how I think each team will go this A-League season. In 12th spot, I'm going to go with Newcastle, unfortunately. It has just been an absolute plane crash of an off-season for Newcastle. I mean, the players that they've lost, Thurgate, Mikeltatsi, Sotirio, Altay, and their captain in Matthew German, and worst of all, they've lost their coach in Arthur Papas, who was a really good coach. I mean, he worked under Andrei Postecoglou at Marinos, and he was a fairly decent coach. And to lose him and replace him with, no disrespect to Robert Stanton, but we haven't really heard much of him. We don't know what he's capable of. We don't know what most of the ins that they've got this season are capable of. There's no real notable players that are entering into the Jets this season, and yeah, it's a very inexperienced team, and I think the Jets are going to struggle badly this season. Well, unfortunately, I'm going to have to put my team, Perth Glory, here in 11th. We've also had an absolute disastrous off-season as well. All started when we lost our coach, although we did actually get Stajic, so it turned out not to be so bad there. But our club's been put up for sale. We're in receivership. We don't have an owner, which hopefully we will have one soon. And we've been thrashed 4-0 twice in this off-season. To make matters worse, we have lost a whole host of players. Ryan Williams is the big one, but also players like Jelicic, Clisby, and others, like many other decent players we have lost. Okay, we've made some decent signings, admittedly. Kamau, Sasajar, Sale, Ollie Pazanic being the big one, but I just feel Perth Glory were already weak and vulnerable last year. And I think with the players we've lost this year and the fact we don't even have an owner, I think it's going to be a wasted season for us, which is a shame. And yeah, I'm bracing for a really tough season. But hey, we get to move back into HBF Park. I guess that's one positive. And you know what? In any other year, I'd be putting this team last, but because of how bad Perth and Newcastle have been, Wellington will still, despite them also having a terrible off-season, will be in 10th. I mean, look at the outs. Sale, Lewis, Ugargovic, Laws, Elliott, Sassy. I mean, what is going on? And who have they brought in? Well, 4 players, 2 of them from Newcastle. And to make matters worse, they have lost their mastermind coach in Ufuk Talay. Replacing him with, okay, we'll see what Italiano can do. But again, unproven quantity there, and I just think Wellington are fielding a very inexperienced side, and they're going to struggle. I don't think they'll struggle as much as Perth and the Jets, for the one reason that they were a top 6 team last year. They've still got some decent quality on that list that will help them compete. But I think they too are going to be struggling at the foot of the table this year. Alright, now we've got those 3 teams out of the way, let's get into the real stuff. I think any team from this point can make the finals, but I'm putting Melbourne Victory in 9th because I'm just not convinced that the ins they've brought in will be enough to bring him into the top 6. Don't get me wrong, some of the signings have been pretty good. I mean, Daniel Arzani's a good one, along with Ryan Teague, Machesh, Adama Traore. I mean, those are good pickups, but also some of the players they've lost, like Brillante, Kamau, Juric, and also players like Nani and Cadete, which probably didn't work out as much as they had hoped. I just don't know if there's enough compared to other teams to bring Melbourne into the top 6. They'll be competitive, they'll be right in it for most of the season, but I just think there are other teams which will make it ahead of them. You know what? I've got to make a bold prediction somewhere, and I'm going to do it here. Central Coast Mariners to have the biggest championship hangover and finish in 8th. And that's partly on the back of the amount of personnel that they have lost, especially their head coach Nick Montgomery, who was the mastermind behind the Mariners' success. So too does the loss of Cummings, Triantis, Maresh, Nicolo, Silvera, and others. McGarry. You know what? They brought some good players in, like Aluqual, and I'm sure there are others that will fill into those spots. And you know what? The Mariners may still very well make the finals. I think they're capable of it. But I just think the amount of players they have lost in the offseason, and especially their coach, is going to be too much to handle for the Mariners, I think. One team that I can see improving rapidly is the Macarthur Bulls. I think particularly off the back of Valeri Germain, he's going to be a big signing for Macarthur. They've brought in some other good players like Clayton Lewis, Matthew Yerman, Christian Popovich. They've also lost a lot of experienced players as well. To be honest, I know they finished last year, but to be honest, it was such a competitive season that anyone could have finished last. I'm not sure if they were really that bad to be wooden spooners. I think the way they've played in the AFC Cup has been very promising. I don't see them making finals for the very reason that they have lost a lot of experience. And I think there are other teams which are going to be of a higher quality than MacArthur, but I think they are going to challenge for the majority of the season, and they're going to push right up until the last round. And in 6th spot, scraping into the top 6, I've got Adelaide United in here. Yes, I know they're going to decline because they lost Craig Goodwin, who has been by far the A-League's best player in the last 2 years. But I don't think they're going to slide that much that they're going to fall out of finals altogether. They've still got a very strong side. Like players like Lopez, Isaiah, Quito, Gauchi. They've still got a very strong squad that, remember, made a semi-final last year and was in the top 2 for the majority of the year. Yeah, they haven't brought in anyone of real note. But they've only, apart from Goodwin, the only other major players they've lost is Dorigo and Blackwood. So I still think Adelaide will do enough to scrape into the top 6. In 5th spot, I've got the Western Sydney Wanderers. They'll make finals, but I think their list has changed so dramatically, I don't see the Wanderers actually challenging for the premiership or any major silverware. I think they've got a lot of experience they've brought in to make the finals, but they've also lost a lot of experience. I'm not even going to go through all of it. I mean, there's a lot of players. It's like an entire squad pretty much. But the Wanderers look strong, but I just don't know if they're strong enough to compete for silverware this year. I've had a look at the ins and outs of this team, and I'm kind of second-guessing this prediction, but I will put the Roar in 4th spot nonetheless. I think in particular, due to getting a new head coach in Ross Aloisi, I think he's changed the culture of that club. He's made the club more competitive. I mean, that was evidenced by the Roar making it all the way to the Australia Cup Grand Final. Could Thomas Waddingham be the next big thing? Never know. That's, I think, the one issue with the Roar is that they're very thin in attack like they have been in the last few years. But I still think they've got a very strong defence. I think, yeah, they look okay. I mean, the big one from here is Florin Berenguer. That's a very good pickup. I think the Roar, I just have a good feeling about the Roar. I think they'll do well this year. Another big improver I've got is Western United. Despite all the players that they've lost in the off-season, I think they've replenished their squad very well. They've signed players such as Thurgate, Sutton, Donachie, Pena, Denzaki, Rukadivisa. I mean, these are all very solid pickups from Western United. And I think, you know, they were good for, particularly towards the back half of last year, I think Western United did well. But I think they'll recover from last year's dour season. And I think they could be, yeah, a threat for silverware this year. In 2nd spot, I've got the 3-time reigning premiers Melbourne City finally being defeated by another team. I think the one issue with City this year is I think they're going to have issue gelling their new side together in the first few rounds. But nonetheless, a lot of the players they have brought in are of championship winning quality players. I think they've got a very good squad still. Yes, they've lost a lot of really good players, but also the players they brought in have been very good. And I think for that reason, I can see City finishing in 2nd spot. And taking out the premiership after 3 years, I've got Sydney FC. You know what? They've recruited very well this year. They've brought in players such as Joel King, who's a Socceroo, and also a couple of Brazilian guys like Fabio Gomes and Gabriel Lacerda. Sorry for mispronunciation in this video. I don't think the outs will hurt them too much. I know they've lost a few players like Wilkinson, Lafondra, Retre, Donachie, but I think Sydney, they had a decent year last year and they've just strengthened over the off-season, and I think they're going to be very strong. Coming off an Australia Cup win, I think this is going to be a big year for Sydney FC. So, these were my A-League ladder predictions. I hope you enjoyed this A-League season, and I wish all of your teams good luck. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe. Comment what you thought of the video down below. And comment your ladder predictions down below. Check out some of my other videos. And I will see you whenever I make the next video. Goodbye.